This could be the future of transport. How you get to work in the morning or maybe to the airport in time for your flight. But instead of getting into a car with a driver on the road, you get into a fully autonomous aerial vehicle in the sky. This is the 6th generation Whisk aircraft, an electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft that's designed to take off from vertiports anywhere in a crowded city and get you where you need to go, all for roughly $3 per passenger mile. Whisk says the Gen 6 is the world's first self-flying, all-electric 4-passenger eVTOL, an air taxi that will redefine transportation and reshape the skies. High-flying aviation meets on-demand ground transport, making a short hop flight as easy as ordering an Uber.
The problem we're trying to solve is super congested cities like LA, New York, London, Mumbai, Sao Paulo, where you're stuck in a car for an hour and a half or 2 hours. You might have 20 to 40 miles to go and you have no idea when you're going to get to the other end. And so our flights are designed to be 10 to 20 minutes roughly, and it's self-flying, so there's no pilot.
It's an ambitious goal and one that will need a lot of community buy-in. We'll need to rethink the way we design cities, and individual passengers will need to put their faith in the machine. But Whisk says it's the company to do it, and the Gen 6 aircraft is the vehicle to get us there. We went behind the scenes at Whisk for an up-close look at how this vision for the future will actually work. Whisk was born out of Kitty Hawk, the aviation company created by Google co-founder Larry Page. After creating 5 generations of aircraft, including its 5th-gen autonomous concept known as Cora, Kitty Hawk joined forces with Boeing in 2019 to create Whisk, a company focused entirely on autonomous aviation. Kitty Hawk shuttered in 2022, but its designs and prototypes stayed with Whisk. And now the company has built on those prototypes with Gen 6, the aircraft it plans on taking to market and flying en masse. With Gen 6, Whisk did a major redesign. It increased the wingspan up to 50 feet from Cora's 33 feet and made the cabin bigger, carrying 4 passengers instead of 2. And while Whisk stuck with the electric vertical takeoff and landing, or eVTOL design of the previous generation, it totally redesigned the propulsion. Forget everything you know about a traditional aircraft, which taxis along a runway for a long takeoff like that. With an electrical vertical takeoff and landing aircraft like this one, you've got propellers that provide you that vertical lift. Then these propellers at the front here rotate around to give you propulsion in flight. The idea is that you can forget the runway, you just take off vertically, fly through the air, and then land straight back down. The other big focus for Whisk is autonomy. While there are plenty of companies vying for dominance in the eVTOL space, many of them are starting out with pilots behind the controls. Instead, Whisk says its first flights will be unpiloted, taking off, flying and landing autonomously. But there will still be humans in the loop. Each aircraft will be overseen by multi-vehicle supervisors, working on the ground and watching as many as 10 aircraft at once.
Think of the supervisors that we have on the ground. They're more like air traffic controllers. They're just watching the planes. They're seeing if there's any emergencies or any things where they have to intervene. But for the most part, they won't. They'll just watch.
According to Whisk, 93% of pilot controls in commercial aircraft today are already automated. They say going fully autonomous with vehicle supervisors on the ground watching multiple aircraft at once is not as much of a leap as we may think.
You could think about it as that pilot has stepped out of the aircraft and offloaded those repetitive tasks that weren't really the best use of their capabilities, let's say.
Full automation doesn't just mean taking off, steering, and keeping the plane stable. According to Whisk, computers have been doing those jobs for decades. With this aircraft, the company also had to create a system capable of more high-level tasks that a pilot would normally handle. Things like looking for hazards, being aware of other aircraft and flight paths, and changing course if a hazard appears. But the automation is still based on strict logic.
It's not just sort of thinking arbitrarily by itself and deciding it wants to land at a different place today versus yesterday, right? It's all very kind of procedural and rule-based. So no matter what happens, even if we lose our link to the ground, the aircraft is able to maintain safe flight and landing.
Still, no crew in the plane means a very different flight experience for passengers. All the information is going to come through on this screen rather than a flight attendant walking down the aisle to talk